Okay guys, if you're watching this, then that tells me you've already tried all the practice problems that you know how to do, and that you're either here to check your work or you're here to find out how to do the ones that you were stumped on, okay? And the way that I do these videos, what you're going to notice is I move very quickly because I am under the assumption that these have already been attempted. And so if you need to pause or rewind because I go too fast, feel free to rewatch it as many times as needed to understand it. And you'll also notice that sometimes I don't even talk through the actual math of what I am doing. I just sort of work on the math. I'm kind of doing two steps in one here. I'm moving things across the equals. That's going to be gone. That's going to leave me with a 20 in. That's going to be gone, and that's going to leave me with a 40. So first one, you should have got a 2, okay? And you can look back up at the math if it's not making sense. We can always talk about things in tutorials as well if you are doing the tutorials with me this week, okay? So same idea here. I'm going to distribute. Then I'm going to start moving people around. So let me add you to the other side. And that would give me a 25A. And then let me go ahead and add this 38 to both sides. That's gone. And now I've got a, is that a 50? So A is 2. Well, that's boring. Number 1 and 2 are the same thing. Excitement. Okay, number 3, negative 3m plus 39 is negative 1 plus 8 times 7m plus 5. Okay, so a lot of these first ones are very similar, but it just goes to show how important it is to be able to handle, got to distribute here, to be able to handle a linear function. Another thing I didn't mention is, what makes this a linear function? You may or may not have noticed at some point here that the exponent is a 1. So on your variable, the exponent is 1, and that's what makes it. I'm going to subtract this 39. So that'll be a 1 and then minus another 1. Is that really a 0? What? Yep, it is a 0. Okay. So m is 0 on number 3. And then hopefully these will get a little more interesting as we go down. Notice the when I distributed, I took the negative with the 8 as I distributed. That's going to help create less confusion with all the negatives going on. 8 and 32, by the way, that's a 40. I may go ahead and condense those. I do a lot of math in my head, but I'm not going to lie, I still show my steps when I'm doing some mental math stuff. Notice I'm still writing out all along the way. I'm not just moving stuff around the equal sign. I am really showing myself what's happening, and that's another thing that's going to cause less confusion and less errors, okay? And now we get into fractions. Ugh, who in the world gave us fractions? Oh, I think that was me. Sorry about that. This will give us a little practice with multiplying fractions anyways. And you may talk to your teacher, because some teachers are totally fine with you pulling out a calculator and multiplying fractions and stuff. I'm not one of those teachers, but some of them might be. Now 16/5 times a negative 3/4. Okay, so you're going to do top times top, which is 48, and then bottom times bottom, which is 20. I'm not even going to reduce that yet, okay? I'm just kind of going through the math, and then I'll reduce here in a second. I want the x's on this side, so let me move this over. Now, one nice thing about this, they already have a common denominator, so it's just 14/5 x, okay? And now I need to add this 48/20 to both sides to get rid of it. And so I'm going to have a negative 9/2 plus a 48/20. You can, if you want, go ahead and reduce this and then put them together. Like I'm noticing that 4 goes into both of these, which means this is a 5. And this is a 12, and that might make it easier to get a common denominator. I don't know, but that's how I'm going to approach it. So the common denominator is 10, which means I'm doing times 5 times 5. So that's really a negative 45 plus 12 times 2, because I have to multiply the bottom times 2, and that's a 24. So what is negative 45 plus 24? That would be a 21, negative 21. So I've got 14/5 x equals negative 21/10. Okay, not sure how y'all handled this. I've seen people do it all different ways. Here's how I handle it. If I've got a fraction times x and I want to move it to the other side, instead of dividing by 14/5, because that would look weird, I multiply both sides by the reciprocal. I know I mentioned that in the notes, but I'm for real about that. I multiply by reciprocals. It makes it easier to deal with fractions. And so then you're just doing top times top, bottom times bottom. What is 21 times 14? 294. Yikes. Yeah, this is where you might want a calculator. Okay, and they're both even numbers, which means that we could probably reduce them by 2 if we wanted. I don't think I want to. I'm going to leave it, well, I guess I will. Okay, divide by 2, it's 25. Divide by 2, it's 147. Yuck. Okay, so there's my final answer, negative 147/25. I hope I did that right. All right, number 6 is another fraction one, so give me another chance to mess up my arithmetic. I hope this went okay for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and distribute. Okay, so it's 3/2 times negative 3/2, which is negative 9/4, okay, plus 3/2 times 7/8 is 21/16. Okay, and so I went ahead and took care of that step of distributing on this side just so we can start moving stuff around. So let me add 9/4 to both sides. And I'm going to have a negative 149/16 plus a 10/4 x is equal to 21/16. Okay, now I'm going to add this to both sides to get rid of it, to move it over. So if I add it, then it's going to be gone. And they already have a common denominator. Thank you, Jesus. Okay, so if they already have a common denominator, I just get to add them, right? So a 149 plus a 21 would be a 170. Is that right? 59, 69, yep, 70. So this is what we're looking at. Before I do anything else, y'all, no, that's all right. I was going to reduce, but I'll be okay. So remember, a fraction over here, don't divide by that fraction. Instead, multiply both sides by the reciprocal. And before I multiply these, I'm going to cross-reduce early. In other words, do you see how 10 goes into itself and it goes into 170? Well, I'm going to go ahead and reduce that now to save some reducing later. And then the 4 and the 16. 4 goes into itself once. 4 goes into 16 4 times. Remember, you can only do that when it's either top to bottom or on the diagonal. Okay? And now, just top times top, bottom times bottom. And that was way easier to reduce and solve than really anything else. So, not bad. Oh wait, where'd that 16 come from? That was a 17. Ha 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 ha. Sorry, I looked above by accident. So it's a 17/4. Alright, so sorry, there's the answer to that. Okay, and now we get to do some graphing. These will actually go pretty quick. Number 7, negative 1/2 x plus 2. You are going to start at your y-intercept of 2, and your slope is down 1, right 2. Down 1, right 2. So it should look something like that. Number 8, also already in the correct form. That form is called slope-intercept form. So we started our intercept, and this one is up 7, right 4. Ugh. Up 7, right 4. Now here's another little trick. If you don't actually want to go up 7 and right 4 because you've run out of room or something, you can go the opposite way of up 7, right 4, which is down 7, left 4. So as long as you switch both of those words, that's also legal. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4. So right in the middle of what I wrote. That's how my life usually turns out. Okay, so straight line, there we go. So it'll look something like that. Yours should look remarkably better since you are on a grid, but my new computer does not have a grid. I need to learn how to do that. I need to work on that. All right, let's see if there's any more of these on the homework. And there are. Okay, so numbers 9 and 10 are in the wrong form. So before you can do number 9, you are going to take this equation and get the y by itself. So just move that 2x to the other side by subtracting it over. You got to do the opposite of what it is to move it. Then you're in business. -3 is where we start. And the slope is -2. And so that would mean down 2, and remember you can always stick it over 1. So write 1, down 2, write 1, down 2, write 1. So yours should have looked something like that. Number 10, same thing. It is 9x minus 2y equals -8. You want that y by itself, guys. So start by subtracting the 9x over, and then you need to divide everybody by that -2. So you'll get 9/2 x plus 4. So when you go to graph it, you'll start at 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you will go up 9, right 2, up 9, right 2. If you didn't have enough on your paper to do that, then you can remember to do the opposite of both of these. So I'm going to go down 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and left 2. And that is just as effective as up and right. Okay, you're just doing the exact opposite, and they'll lay on the same line. It's perfectly legal. Okay, number 11 and 12, numbers 11 and 12, it gives you an x-intercept of -1. That's pretty easy. It's just saying cross the x-axis at -1, and a y-intercept of +1. So you really should have just had to do something like that. And then number 12 is the same idea. The x-intercept is -2. Where's the x? X-intercept, -2. Y-intercept, -3. And from there, alright, we're just making a graph. Now, we'll do a little bit more in tutorials over the different forms and why certain things are useful. And we'll also be in tutorials writing equations to go with these. Okay? All right, thanks a lot. See you later.